Perfect.
What's going on, you guys, and welcome to today's video. Before we start, I just want to give a huge thanks to everybody that keeps supporting every video, and I want to wish you guys happy holidays. I hope you guys spend it with the family and you guys spend it well. So let's get right into the video. When I first discovered investing and really just found out what investing was in general, it was as if I had just discovered fire. It changed my perspective on everything. It's something that I hope I can shed a light on for you guys through my experiences thus far. Learning how to make money, how to invest your money, how to keep it, how to double it, learning about compound interest, learning about inflation, etc. These things aren't really taught in schools, and they're not really taught anywhere else in general. At the end of the day, we're kind of just left to fend for ourselves, really, and find our own paths. So in this video, I hope to highlight some of the things that I did before I ever put a penny into a stock or any investment for that matter. So let's get to it. So the first thing that I did before I ever put a penny into a stock or any investment for that matter is I taught myself how money worked. I taught myself about compound interest, about inflation, things like that. I learned at a young age that you need multiple sources of income. In my opinion, it's mandatory. I saw my dad work long hours to provide for myself and my family during the recession. And being brought up in this type of environment really made me want to work. So at the age of 8 to 10, I started to accompany my dad on jobs, and I remember getting paid about $5 a day and thinking, whoa, I'm gonna be rich. I remember at 9 years old waking up with my dad super early, to go print out 99-cent business cards so that we can pass it around to the neighborhood to really, offer any type of job services, because things were hectic at that time. Nobody had jobs, and my first experience with money really stuck with me until my early teenage years. And I thought, adults knew it all, so I would ask around and all I would get were blank stares back. So naturally, I started to teach myself, and I eventually landed on two things: inflation and compound interest, and how compound interest can work for me and against me as well. Think of compound interest as a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it seems insignificant and small, but with time, it starts to grow in pace and in size as well. That's the same thing with money. I eventually learned that time was on my side, and that if I invested into something like dividend-paying stocks that paid me monthly and quarterly, and I just reinvested what I got paid from those stocks, eventually those investments would start to grow on their own, and I wouldn't have to touch them at all. I learned that I could essentially buy back my freedom through stocks. Compound interest can very easily work against you as well. A credit card balance of about $20,000 at an interest rate of 20% compounded monthly would result in $4,388 over the span of a year, or about $365 monthly. Essentially, your debt would be growing by itself year over year. I also learned about inflation. I learned that the bank does everything but help you grow your money. A bank's interest rate is usually 0.03%, which is roughly barely a penny a year. And the inflation rate for the United States is roughly about 3%. Which means that you're losing money year over year for keeping your money in a bank account. A candy bar today that is worth, $1, for example, might be worth $1.03 next year. And that might seem insignificant and small, but if you really look into it and think of, millions of transactions, it really starts to add up. You will start to feel the effect of it real quick. And inflation is also why a cheeseburger cost 50 cents back in the 1980s, as opposed to now where a cheeseburger will run you, $2 to $3. The second thing that I really found that I really needed was, income. I hate to break it to you guys, but you can't make money if you don't have money in the first place, especially not in the stock market. I've collected cans and bottles from neighbors to recycle for money. I go with my dad to, side jobs to make some money. I've worked at a grocery store before, and I collect quarters. You guys gotta do what you gotta do. We gotta put our egos aside. We all have to start somewhere. And that's really how I built my cushion. And a channel I'd recommend is, Ray is the Entrepreneur. He really specializes in side hustles and, extra sources of income, which I feel like would be a great help for you guys watching this right now. And it's a gem of a channel, so I'd recommend you guys check it out. And the third thing I learned how to do is I learned how to manage my money. I see it all the time with friends and family. you know, we get the check and we have the urge to spend it all. We pay everybody else but ourselves. Anybody that's ever worked before knows that, you know, before you even get the check, you're taxed by the government. You know, they have the law of paying yourself first down to a science, you know. They take your money before you even touch it. One of my favorite books really talks about this in depth, The Richest Man in Babylon. The book states that everybody should be saving at least 10% of what they make to put aside for investments. And I do understand that some of you guys might be on a budget and money is tight right now. So just really, however much you guys can afford to put aside to invest later on. It could be $100 or it could be $10 even. You know, the point is to, no matter what, pay yourself first. The money accumulated over time by paying yourself first can then be used as, you know, investment cash. And the fourth thing that I did when I first started investing was I looked into investing strategies. There is growth investing, where you focus on buying undervalued shares of a company to then sell for a profit later on. There's passive investing, where you basically just put your money into index funds that hold a whole bunch of companies in the stock market, and you kind of just set it and forget it. There's also dividend growth investing, where you put money into companies that have been growing their dividend payments to investors year over year, which is what I do. And all of these are great investment strategies. It's not really a one-size-fits-all. It's more of a, you know, whatever works for you. Dividend growth investing happened to work for me, so that's what I chose. You guys watching this could really much rather prefer, you know, kind of just putting your money in the stock market and kind of forgetting it. And other people would really rather enjoy, you know, researching companies and putting their money into companies they've done research on. And, you know, it's really your cup of tea. Whatever you guys find that works for you is where you put your money into. And last but not least, the fifth thing that I did when I first started investing was I started to dollar cost average. Dollar cost averaging is basically investing your money in regular intervals. It could be monthly, it could be weekly, or it could even be daily. The point of dollar cost averaging is to really avoid putting yourself into a riskier situation. Instead of investing all of your money at once in the market into a potentially volatile investment that will move up and down and, you know, God forbid, make you lose your money, you invest in regular intervals. To put it simply, investing periodically, you know, monthly or weekly, will reduce your risk of losing your money. I personally want my money to grow with or without me, so less risk is in my best interest. And that's it for today's video, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed it and, you know, really found some useful information in it. I really want to share this, you know, helpful knowledge to the community at large. You know, only a small minority of people actually invest, and I feel like it's time we take things back into our own hands and, you know, invest not only for ourselves but for our families as well. I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribe, leave a like, and comment on the video. You know, it really helps the YouTube algorithm have this video reach out to more people and to really expand the knowledge as well. So yeah, thank you guys, and tune into the next one. Peace.